For the last few months, I've been a prisoner inside of Todd Howard's basement. Turns out that my research and investigations into Todd's synthetic origins and his clone army caught the attention of one of Todd's minions, and he dispatched agents of the Dark Brotherhood to track me down. Although not assassinating me physically, they assassinated my freedom, and I was confined to Todd Howard's underground lair, in which I was fed a diet of Skyrim remasters and exorbitant atom shop sales. My family refused my $25 ransom sum, saying it was too expensive. Just as I was about to lose hope, Todd Howard and his clones left his lair to record the Starfield Direct showcase. It was at this moment that I saw my chance to escape. I put to use all the lockpicking knowledge that I had gained over the years from playing The Elder Scrolls and Fallout, and broke out of my room. Once at home, I installed an extra lock on my door, and now I'm free once more to expose the truth about Todd Howard. But before we do that, let's talk about Starfield. A lot has happened with Starfield over the past few months. Let's quickly recap from the beginning. In 2018, we had the initial teaser trailer that showed us space, and a space station thing in space. Later that month, the official Starfield website opened up. Then, 3 years later, the official in-engine trailer was shown, and we got Space Sandwich, along with a release date for the game, 11/11/22. We also learnt about Space Watch. Over the next 11 months or so, we were drip-fed a collection of Starfield concept art, music and behind-the-scenes video clips, where we passively spectated while the devs behind Starfield spoke to each other about how great the game was, and made us feel bad that we weren't playing already. Then, in May 2022, just as the release date was getting within reach,
I can almost taste it.
Bethesda decided to delay Starfield and Redfall for the reason that, and I quote, "We want to ensure that you receive the best, most polished versions of them," end quote. Thanks to the delay, Arcane was able to release Redfall as the best version of itself, and later in June of the same year, Starfield gave us our first in-game extended look at Starfield, and it looked pretty good for the most part. We learnt that Starfield will allow you to do anything in space. You can fly a ship, build a ship, craft things, shoot things, build your character in space, talk to people in space, and visit any one of the over 1,000 planets in space. Then we got to see more information about Starfield and talk to Todd Howard. Then a year later we got another release date by way of a short video. It was now going to release on September the 6th, 2023. That's this year. Then, about a month later, we got to see a huge behind-the-scenes deep dive into Starfield, which showed off even more of how big of a game it was planning to be. We also learnt that we will be able to hoard space sandwiches. In addition, it seemed as though the combat had been vastly improved over what we saw in the previous gameplay from June 2022. In the weeks that followed, we were treated to a number of Todd Howard interviews where he told us about some of the things that won't be in Starfield, and how many frame rates there will be in the game. Recently, we were shown Starfield, the anime, and that leads us to now, roughly a month away from finally getting to play the elusive space game. Now let's talk about the things I liked. The highlights for me personally were the ship flight and building. Flying ships are always fun in video games, and the customization looked impressive. Apparently every module you can customize will affect your ship's stats and interior functionality. I am interested to see just how much of a difference these stats make to how your ship handles and performs. The combat looked to be improved a lot, and the sheer variety of weapons looked exciting. Something I had questions about previously to the big showcase was just how versatile our arsenal would be, but it seems the answer is very versatile. The cities looked big, and there seemed to be a lot of NPCs to talk to. I also liked the look of the faction quests, which we've learnt more about in recent weeks. They could provide some interesting storylines. Hopefully they are a bit more fleshed out than the factions in Fallout 4. The traits and perks could provide some unique gameplay options if they impact the player style enough. I'm just a little bit hesitant about how much these background choices will affect our options throughout the game. Time will tell. And finally, I thought the creature designs looked fun and varied. Starfield may well end up having some of the best creatures in any Bethesda game. My concerns. The biggest concern for me is probably similar to many other fellow gamers. The planet exploration. As hinted at in the gameplay and later confirmed by Todd himself in a few interviews, there will be no in-atmosphere planet flight. Instead, we will pick a spot to land on a planet and explore the immediate area around our landing spot. When we want to move somewhere else on the planet, we walk to or fast travel to our ship, leave the planet's surface, and from orbit pick a new location to land and repeat the process. The lack of any land transports or mounts seems to be a big miss in my opinion, and exploring planets like this could become a bit tedious, but I'm only guessing from what I've seen. Of course, as Todd Howard pointed out, we will have our jetpack, and there does seem to be the possibility for drivable mechs in the future, based on the Starfield anime cartoon, but it's definitely not confirmed, and we will have to wait and see. My only other real concern is how well the procedural generation will work. Will it be interesting enough to be engaging, and will it be immersive and make sense? Past Bethesda games have been a bit hit or miss with these generated quests, but hopefully it will just work in Starfield. My expectations. I expect Starfield to be a huge conglomeration of game features that will probably feel a bit disjointed. Between the role-playing options, storylines, combat, exploration, Vasco, space rock mining, crafting, piloting, sandwiches, shipbuilding, and settlement micromanagement, things could get a little bit muddy. But as long as some of the more grindy aspects of gameplay can be played as a standalone experience without becoming too disruptive to other features, there should be something for almost everyone in Starfield. Fallout 4 and Skyrim both excelled in their world design, exploration, and dynamic gameplay, but were sometimes lacking in RPG options and in some of the storylines. So I'm expecting Starfield to be about the same, although I'm hoping that there will be more of a focus on player choice in regards to how we approach gameplay and story moments. But I'm not going to hold my breath, we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, those are my overall thoughts on everything Starfield related so far. I'll probably get around to making some more Starfield videos after the game's release this September, eventually. In the meantime, if you can't wait for Starfield and want some space sci-fi games to play, there are a couple of interesting games to try out early. I recently played the demo for The Invincible, a sci-fi story-driven puzzle game by Starwood Industries, loosely based on the book by Stanislaw Lem. I made a video about it ages ago, if you are interested in seeing more, but I was impressed by what I played in the demo. The designs really captured the feel of the book, and it could end up being an intriguing story. The game is very slow-paced and dialogue-heavy, with some simple puzzles to provide gameplay. I don't think it's going to be a big action shooter, so it might not be for everyone, but if you think it might appeal to you, I'd recommend trying the free demo. It's a game I'll be checking out later in the year once it releases. Another game to keep an eye on is The Expanse by Telltale Games. It's based on the popular strategy board game, which is based on the hit Amazon Prime series, which is based on the best-selling book series. It's going to be released episodically, and the first episode came out on July the 26th, if I recall. Anyway, I've played the first episode and enjoyed the game so far. I never thought pushing around decapitated heads in 0G would be this much fun. Again, it's a story-driven, choice-focused experience with some puzzle-ish gameplay. A big highlight for me was flying around the derelict spaceship with my jetpack and pushing around heads in space. The first episode seemed pretty short to me, so I don't know how long the full game will be. My guess would be anywhere between 10 to 20 hours, but don't quote me on that. The 5 main episodes will be released over the next 2 months, and will overlap with Starfield's release. There will also be a bonus episode for those who buy the deluxe version of the game. If you have made it this far, congratulations. It feels good to have finally got around to making another video. I'm hoping to have a few more videos up in my normal style in the coming months, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching.
Starfield.